What's up, guys? Zaid here, and today I've got a deck profile for you. This is a post-Photon Hypernova deck profile, and it's a Ishizu Tearlament with a small Kashtira engine. Now, before I get into the deck profile, if you guys want to see it in action after listening to it, the other day on stream I played it with my buddy Abyssal Gaming YGO. You could check him out on Twitch. And right here, actually, the last stream he had was the VOD where I was playing the deck against a couple of his decks. So feel free to go there, check it out if you want to see it in action. And if you don't want to watch it on stream and you'd rather me make some content on it, let me know. Also, if you guys want to playtest this format, hit me up because I made a Discord with the intention of using it to playtest this format, but it don't have that many people in it yet. So if you're trying to get in there, give me some people to playtest with, let me know. But to get into the list, I think that if we don't get a ban list, the lists are going to be very, very similar to this. It's going to be like the current Tearlament decks, how like lists change card for card a tiny bit, but for the most part, this is going to be like the framework. And to get started on the first 12 cards, I know they look out of order, but it'll make sense in a second, is 3 Kashtira Fenrir, 3 Tearlaments Kashtira, 3 Havnus, and 3 Kelbeck. The reason I separated these cards from their archetypes and moved them up here first is because they're all engine pieces, but they're all going second cards as well. You could special Kashtira Fenrir going first, use it to search Tearlaments Kashtira, and now you have an interruption or an extender, and then you have the Tearlaments as an extender. But also going second, you could summon it and use it to break boards. And then the Tearlaments Kashtira, the new one, functions very similar to Havnus. During the main phase, you can banish a Tearlament or Kashtira from your hand or graveyard to special it, and then when it's summoned, mill 3. I think you could technically make both players or one player mill 3. Yeah, either player's deck. So you're opting to choose your own most of the time. I mean, maybe you'll deck somebody out, but for the most part, you're just going to be milling 3 of your own cards. And then you, of course, have Havnus as a going second card, mills itself, and then Kelbeck. Another thing to note about why Tearlament Kashtira is so good, and I don't think lists are going to actually look like this because I think Havnus is going to go to 1. I think it needs to because we now have 6 Havnus effectively. Tearlaments Kashtira is like on its own technically worse going second than Havnus because you're going to have to banish a card from your hand as well, but you're milling 3. And also, so like its monster effect is Havnus, which is the best Tearlament, and then its grave effect doesn't let you fusion. It instead acts like a baby of the Ishizu cards. It says when it's milled, you can mill 2. So it's also going to just allow you to mill more cards. Like say you were to use Havnus and you hit this, now you're milling 5 instead of 3, and it's a Tear Name Engrave, so it's going to be used for fusion material as well. It's a Psychic, not an Aqua, so some things that require Aquas you can't really use it for, like a Rhino Heart you can't use it for, and what's it called? There's no way for you to use it to make Rukalos, but you're mainly going to use it for Kit Kalos, fusion material. But yeah, so there's like those, and then Kelbeck we all know is a going second card too, and your opponent has a card sent from their hand or deck to grave, special it, bounce a card. And so these are 12 hand traps basically. Well, 9 hand traps, one place out of a board breaker, but they all also function as insane combo pieces going first, which was like what makes this deck feel insane already, and then we're just adding another 2 to the mix. Because before, Fenrir wasn't that great, but now with this as well, it becomes insane. And then for the rest of the Tearlament cards, like right now I'm playing the standard 3 of every name, 3 Rhino Heart, 3 Marley, 3 Sheeran. I think there's a case where you could cut down on probably Rhino Heart. Not 100% sure, because like I think more often than not, like looking at this list, almost every single card wants to be in graveyard. Like 30 plus cards want to be in the graveyard. So I think more often than not, Merly is going to be way more powerful than Rhino Heart. So I don't think I'd want to cut that one. And then the Rhino Heart also, like we have the field spell to get to it. We've got a bunch of ways to tutor it. And so I could see a world where you want to cut this card down to 2 to put it to the even 40 if you want. There's another couple cards that are in that category too, like Scream I think could be argued to go down to 2. But the thing I like about it is, like I said, you're milling so much more now, having these extra 6 cards that give you a way to mill 3, that you really want to be hitting this. And your turn 0 boards, I don't think the Mirror Match or the Tearlament, or I mean the Kashtira deck can beat you if you're ending on the trap that's better against them, and then the crime, and then also your monsters. Like in the Mirror Match, you can end on crime, Soliac, Dweller, and a bunch of fusions, and then in the Tearlament, or I mean the Kashtira matchup, you'd be ending on like crime, Meta Noise, what's it called, Baguska, and then a bunch of stuff. And I feel like that board really cannot be broken. And having access to Scream to get you one of those searches and then Kit Kalos for the other one is nice. That's another thing about this list with these additional cards, dude. It blows my mind. Like, a lot of the time, you do not need to search a name off of Kit Kalos. Like, in current format, you'll find oftentimes that you want to add like the Merly or the Rhino Heart to get your plays going. But you have an additional 6 copies of one that you could get that with, right? So you could go like Special Fenrir Search and the normal Rhino Hard Dump, make Kit Kalos. The Kit Kalos, you're not going to need to search the Merly now because you have the Tier Element Cache Tier in hand. You could just pop to special that and mill 8 as well. And then, so you have 9 copies of drawing Merly effectively, which opens up the ability to search a spell trap and gives you a lot more likeliness to end on 2 to 3 of the spell trap set. I also play 1 Heartbeat. There's not really back row I could think of that I'm too afraid of game 1 that you're going to need this to eliminate, but it's mainly for the fact that it allows you to add one of the traps back because they're all one-of traps, and like I said, some are really good in certain matchups. So say I milled the Meta Noise early, which by the way, Meta Noise, I'll cover it in a second, but this is mainly for the Kashtira matchup. Say I milled it early in my combo and I'm like, damn, I want that. I can just use the Kit Kalos to dump Heartbeat, add it back. So just having that in your deck gives you the functionality to recycle the ones you want. And then for the traps, I'm playing 1 of each. Everyone knows what Sulik does. It's a once per turn monster negate, then sends a monster on your field to the grave. And also when it's milled or sent from the field to the graveyard, just anytime it's sent to the grave by a card effect, lets you search a tier element name, which nowadays, right, say you reveal Havness and you mill 3 on their turn, you hit a name in this, you're going to use this to search the tier elements Kashtira. Now you have a second Havness. So milling this going second is like batshit crazy. And then going first is still like what it is. The only reason I'm playing 1 is because I typically play 2, but I wanted to make room for the Meta Noise and I didn't want to play 4 traps. What Meta Noise lets you do, if you control a tier element or a Visa Starfrost, it's Book of Moon and then Foolish Burial for a tier element monster. So if you're against the Kashtira deck, you can like, they special Fenrir or Unicorn as their first summon, you book it. So now they control a monster still, but it's face down, so they can't use it, and they also can't special more Kashtiras. And then you're going to Foolish Burial a name, which might let you go into like Rukalos or something. I don't know what your setup would be. It depends on like the whole rest of your turn, you know? But the card's very, very powerful. And also when it's milled, you get to add one from your graveyard to your hand, which in grind games gets really, really good. Because again, if it's on their turn, you mill it with Havness or Tier Element Kashtira, you can use this, add the other one back, and you just keep having plays on their turn. And then Crime, I think, I heard that people were siding Crime, but I don't think I agree with it necessarily. Because one, its grave effect before wasn't that good because when it's milled, you add a banish tier elements to your hand. But now because we have this card, we're more often banishing our own cards. Plus, in the format going into Kashtira, they end on the Macrocosmos like guy, a Rise Heart. So I just think there's going to be a lot more scenarios where you've got banished names, and so this is going to be a little more powerful when milled. And also, Crime, it's so strong. Like, either Suliak or Meta Noise is going to be powerful in any given matchup. But Crime will be powerful in every single matchup. And it also, like, you have 2 rank 4s that in most matchups, one of these rank 4s is hosing the deck. So the fact that you could search protection for it is insane. I would agree if you were to make the argument, though, that, like, it's not the best card to draw going second, of course. But worst case scenario, it's still, like, banish fodder for Kashtira tier elements. And if you were to use Kashtira tier elements and then mill this, like I said, you'd be adding a card back. Like, it helps you break even off that. It's just like, it's not the worst. And you play 12 cards in your deck that are insane going second cards just in the main. So I think it's okay to have 1 card dedicated to going first, you know? I think it's fine. But I could, if you made the argument and you played without it and saw success, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're wrong. I just would not do it myself, you know? Then for the field spells, I got the 3 regular, the Primal Planet I've never been able to say that word. I'm not even going to try. Primal Planet, or Prime Val Planet. And then 1 Prime Planet. You all know what this one does. It searches a tier element or Visas. This one, though, searches a Kashtira. So I like the idea now that we don't have Mystic Mine. I still like always having a field spell that is not my main field spell if I can help it. Because sometimes you're going to open Terraforming Field Spell. That's a bad hand. But with this in your deck, it's not a bad hand. It also makes it a going second card because Terraforming can now search this, which can search Fenrir, which is going to search tier element Kashtira, and be a beater that can banish a card. So it puts me, I said I was at 12, but this actually puts me at 14 main deck going second cards that are also engine cards, which that is a crime, dude. A deck that can go first, but also play 14 going second cards. But when you're going first, those are all going first cards. Like, make it make sense. That's not fair. You have like a fucking 60% chance to open 2 going second cards or something like that, and you play none technically. Like, what? How is this not going to be the best deck ever made? Also, I think my lighting might be bad. I just kind of realized that. I'm in a hotel in Indiana right now. And for those of you that know me, I'm an East Coast boy. Now I'm just chilling in the Midwest, so don't question that. But yeah, the lighting's not great. I can't really help it. Maybe I could. Is there another light I could turn on? But I ain't gonna worry about it. We'll do that another video, you know? Back to my blabbing. And then Instant Fusion, you have to play this card. And then the rest of the Ishizus. Also, Instant Fusion, I heard people saying that they want this card hit. I could also see wanting a hit. I think the only argument that would make Konami keep it is that you want it to exist for like the Predaplant combos and stuff. But if that's the case, like you have to neuter this deck some other way. People are like saying maybe they'll hit Kit Kalos. I don't know if that's the way. It's kind of weird to print a card like Rukalos and then ban the fusion material for it right away. I just think Havness needs to go personally. But we play all these. The Keldo and Mudora, you might think that they'd be bad going into a matchup like Kashtira, but Kashtira has a lot of ways to banish your stuff face down. And so, say they were to hit like 2 Murley or something, it's nice to have access to the Keldo and the Medora. One, to like put your 1 and 2 ofs back because they've banished the other copies. You need to somehow have access to these cards. But also, it's a very viable deck con in the grind game against that deck to get decked out. So having these to be able to like stop that is really cool. It also can stop I don't know if it necessarily stops it, but you can remove good targets for this card. Let me look it up real quick. I forget the name. The level 4 that becomes level 7. He said, or no, not this one. These ones. The one that we're playing, the Kashtira Tearlament, and then this guy, Scareclaw Kashtira, they special it and then banish a Kashtira or Scareclaw from hand or graveyard. So say I go activate Scareclaw Kashtira and I've got like Papyrus engraved that I plan on putting back or banishing for value, but I also have maybe Ogre. Most lists probably aren't playing that, but it's the first name I saw. If you were to chain your Medora or Keldo, spin those back, now they have nothing engraved they can banish, but they already activated the effect, and the effect can banish from hand. So they're going to lose a card in hand, or I believe they won't get to summon it. If you're a judge, though, let me know if for some reason they would still get to summon it if they don't have one in hand. I feel like they wouldn't, but it does say special, and if you do, banish one from your hand. And the card might try to resolve as much as possible. I'm bad with Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings. But lastly, I got one Agido. I like Agido. I think that another thing to point out with Agido and Kelbeck is that in the mirror match, I don't like the cards as much. I really ain't trying to mill my opponent's deck unless I can establish Dweller first. But they're very strong to me going into the Kashtira matchup because I play the Earth Charmer. If you play against Kashtira and you mill their Fenrir, you can make Earth Charmer take their Fenrir, Fenrir search Kashtira tier elements. Now you have the Fenrir interruption, the extender off the tier. And even if you weren't to do anything with those, like that's the interruption on their turn and the Kashtira on their turn to play, even if I wasn't to use it proactively on my turn. That's just a lot of value to get, dog. This side deck, kind of ignore it. I mean, I'll talk to you about it a tiny bit. Like, that's all cards I was theorizing for going first, because this is not a list I'd enter a tournament with yet, but I think the main deck is really clean. The side deck, I was trying to think, like, I play 14 going second cards already. I think I would only really dedicate 3 to 6 slots for going second. So I just put in a bunch of cards that I kind of wanted to test going first. And I'll tell you why I guess I wanted to test some of these. I think these two I thought would be really sauce, but realistically, I don't think you're going to need Judgment because of Crime. But I was thinking that Board Breakers will matter this format. And then Anti-Spell for the same thing for Board Breakers. But if people agree with me and play this deck in a way where when you're going first, you want to optimize setting as many traps as possible, I think the actual best ways to stop it are, outside of Shifter, obviously, going to be Lava Golem and Sphere Mode. Reason being, if you can clear all the tier names, they don't float off those cards. And it also, if they don't have a tier, you can't use the traps. And so it like, there's not a single board breaker card outside of those that has the potential to nuke the back row and the monsters simultaneously. Something like Lightning Storm could hypothetically nuke one or the other, and it could do both, but it can only do one of the two, whereas the Lava Golem in this scenario or the Sphere Mode would take out everything. So those cards I think are really cool. So it makes me actually not think I'd want these as badly. They also, I feel like this board's almost unbreakable if it goes through. So realistically, something like this is more the speed that I think I'm going to go in the direction of. Something like the Triple Tactics, the Call By, stuff that is going to... Oh, I almost had to burp. I had a lot of Mexican food right before recording this. Oh, not editing that out. Y'all better love it. But Something like that, or the like triple tactic talents, something that's going to let you play through the interruptions more. So yeah, like that's just my current thesis on it though. If you guys have any like arguments as to why cards like this would be good, or theories on something else, or an argument why sphere mode might be wrong, let me know. I'm like, I ain't perfect, I'm pretty damn close, but and then this, I have a theory about Gamma Driver too. And then these guys are just in it because I was hypothetically thinking, right? Because I would side these for going first, not for going second. And if that were the case, it would be cool to have access to these too. So I just kind of want to test that too. But the theory is, if you look at most lists online and most discussion videos, a lot of people are thinking triple tactic talents and triple tactic tasking are going to be very, very strong meta relevant cards. Typically, if you played a shifter deck, like I played Flaunderies for a while, so you start to learn when you're playing that you kind of want to respect the card like Gamma. So you wait for them to contribute to the board, and even more so, I like to wait until they not only contribute to the board, but they play a card that I'm now going to gain card advantage from chaining Shifter to. An example would be like a Foolish Burial. If you activate Foolish Burial, I can chain my Shifter. Now you're going to lose value. The Foolish is out of your hand and you're floodgated. But if you were to do that play now going forward, they could activate triple tactic tasking, set a very powerful card, or talent to draw to or rip your hand and put you behind. And with those cards being perceived as what's best, it then gives you room for something like Gamma, because now my opponent thinks, oh, I'm playing Kashtira. I don't want my opponent to get the tacting, look at my hand, rip a card. So I guess I'm going to Shifter in the standby phase. Okay, Gamma, you lost a dual friend. And Gamma not only would stop the Shifter in this scenario, you also get the level 2 and the level 6, which can let you go into Elf. They can let you go into IP. Not IP. I don't play IP. But they let you go into Elf, or they let you go into Sprint, which instantly is not a way to start the game. But like over time it would be. Like if you have one other combo piece. Say you summon a Tearlament like Rhino Heart. Say you summon Rhino Heart, they Veil or Imperm, whatever they do. You now can link away with the Gamma, make Sprint, dump Merly, full combo, you know? And then you still have this to hypothetically use as link material later to go into like an Elf or something. It's just cool to have a level 2 body you get to utilize as well. And so that's why I think this is interesting to test. I haven't really tested it much yet, but if you guys like the idea and run with it, give me some feedback in the comments. And so I'll go to the extra deck now. We'll start with the fusions, of course. I'm playing 2 Kit Kalos. I think this is not negotiable anymore. Lists tend to play 2, used to play 1, but Kashtira has access to cards to banish them now. So you need to have a second. If there's an important card in your extra deck, you play 2 of it. If you play 1 of it, it has to be a utility card. It can't be the most important card in your extra. And then I play 1 Rukalos, 1 Kaleido, 1 Dracostapelia, 1 Garura. These are still one-ofs to me because a lot of the time there's not a best one of these 4 to make. There's not a world like, I don't think I want Rukalos enough to cut Garura to make the second Rukalos in the spot, you know? Like, I think I want the utility of all 4 of these, and if my opponent is sniping these with their thing, I'm not necessarily losing the game because of that. I still have access to almost everything in my deck. I just, like, I wouldn't get the draw if I link away, or I wouldn't have a monster negate. I'd have to settle for a spell trap negate, you know? Like, that's not that big of a deal if that's what I could put on. But it is a big deal if you lose Kit Kalos. If you lose Kit Kalos, you also lose Rukalos. That's just like, then they're cutting your options down a lot. And for the XYZs, I've got the Abyss Dweller and the Baguska. Like I said before, Dweller is to stop the mirror match. Baguska is to stop Kashtira. Baguska's also already been played in the past because it stops like anti-meta decks like Fluanderies. And so like, any deck that doesn't lose to Dweller probably loses to Baguska. Plus you're ending on like a Crime to protect it and like a Solic or a Meta Noise if you need it too. Like, it's really cool. It's really, really strong, Baguska. And it's also a good rank 4 to use to make the Zeus going second. And then we play 2 Zeus now. Zeus is very, very important going second against Kashtira because they don't put up hard interruptions. They have I mean hard negates. They have really strong interruptions, but they don't have any like really strong negates. So if Zeus lands on the board, you're going to get to nuke their board. Also, you can attack. They play all XYZs, so like you don't have to contribute an XYZ in the main phase. You can then enter battle, attack over one of their XYZs with one of your fusions, and now you still have the option to make Zeus. Like I think it's very, very powerful. And then I play 1 rank 7 so that if I have access to Fenrir to search the Tearlament's Kashtira, I can make a rank 7 to go into Zeus. This is a spot that I am not sold on this being the card. I do think this card is good. I'd honestly say this card's great. I'm not using it in a way, though, where it feels amazing. You rip a card from their extra deck, you attack, you make a 2 material Zeus. You know, that's not like the end all be all, but it's just the best rank 7 I could think of to play. If you guys have like any pointers on what rank 7s you think might be better, let me know. I considered playing like the Kashtira era, but then I have to take a lot of damage if this is the one I have to use to attack. And like there's not going to be a lot of times where I think I'm really going to want to pass on this card. I could though, because now that I'm thinking about it, it does summon the guy that mills 3. So like you could make this pass on their turn, standby phase, bring Tearlament, Kashtira, mill 3. So that's a pretty good argument already to play that card. I might have talked myself into it. But then other ones that have been brought up to me, people have said Big Eye. I don't think Big Eye is the wave because it can't attack. And the main reason this slot is even in the deck is for a rank 7 that can attack to make Zeus. And so that's a hypothetical theory. And whatever other ones you got, let me know, because I can't really think of any. And then I've got the Charmers. The Dark Charmers, obviously, for the mirror match, you could take their stuff. It's any deck that like plays Darks, it's all right against. A lot of the times it lets you turn 2 non-level 2s into an Elf or a Sprint if you need to. But it also, like I said, oh, damn it, I just got rid of it. But it's really good in the mirror match. And then this Earth Charmer I play as well. That one is for the Kashtira match or any deck that plays Fenrir. Like I said earlier, taking Fenrir, searching this is like kind of insane, dude. Like, it shouldn't be fair. And you're playing these dudes that mill. Your opponent's deck, if they're playing the Kashtira deck, they don't really benefit that much from milling. Like, they do get some setup. They would rather have a graveyard than not have a graveyard, but they don't auto win if you give them a graveyard. None of their stuff's activating right away. But having like the ability to now pick their most powerful card out of their graveyard, use it as an interruption plus a search for yourself, it's mad, dude. And then I play each of the sprint or the sprite monsters. Elf is mainly to bring back Merly on their turn, and then Sprint is to dump Merly to make a fusion play on your turn. And so that's the list. If you guys have any like questions, please ask me. I have not made much content recently, but I've been testing this deck and it's got me lit, dog. I love this deck. So I'll answer every comment. I'll say that right now. I'm going to answer every single comment on this video. And then again, if you guys want to see it in action, my boy Abyssal Gaming YGO and I did a 3-hour, 9-minute stream over here. 8 minutes, 9 seconds. My bad. I looked at the 9, said the 9. Where a lot of it we were talking in theory crafting, but if you like just want to see the matches, you can kind of skip through. I think our first match starts around the 36-minute mark. And he was playing Branded Tier, and it was Branded Bestial. And then I think he also played a 60-card build against me. And so we were testing that kind of matchup. And so if you want to see the deck in action, you can check it out there. Like I said, I'll also probably make some videos on it. I'll leave a link to his Twitch in the description too. And I'll probably leave a link for my Discord, but sometimes I forget it. If it's not there, just remind me in the comments if you want, and I got you. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching.